Well, former President Donald Trump's guilt in inciting the January 6th Capitol riots is, quote, unmistakable, according to the 9 House Democrats serving as prosecutors in his second impeachment trial. The impeachment managers filed a nearly 80-page brief Tuesday outlining their case. Bloomberg congressional reporter Anna Edgerton joins me now from Washington. Anna, thanks so much for being here. Look, we can't go through all 80 of these pages, of course, but what was the overall gist of the brief here?
So they were basically saying that it's obvious to anyone who was watching the events of January 6th that the president was at fault. Two main veins to follow in their argument. One, that the president's words incited the insurrection on January 6th, that he encouraged his followers not just to march down to the Capitol that day, but also to be in Washington as Congress was counting the Electoral College votes. The other argument that we're going to hear from Democrats is that this is constitutional. Now, that's pushing back against some Republican claims that it's not constitutional to try a president when he's out of office. But Democrats are saying, as long as the acts in question were committed while he was still the president, impeachment is the only recourse we have for holding Trump accountable.
And I imagine that Republicans have already pushed back on this memo.
Yeah, it's interesting. The memo is actually kind of a rebuttal to some of the arguments we've already heard from Republicans, kind of fighting in the court of public opinion before they ever duke it out on the Senate floor. So, it's not really a surprise what direction that these arguments are going to take, but it will be really interesting to see when they're actually face-to-face next week, presenting their arguments to senators who will ultimately be the jurors, how those are received and how things shake out when we're actually in the trial setting.
Anna, what's the latest with President Trump's legal team? We saw a lot of those lawyers leave last week. Who does he have representing him?
Yeah, he has 2 attorneys on his team right now, one who formerly represented Roger Stone, and both of these people are well-respected lawyers, have represented some questionable clients in the past, but seem to be well-respected as attorneys of the law. Now, one thing that we expect to see from them is a focus on the argument that this is not a constitutional process, kind of echoing those claims we've already heard from Republicans. What we don't expect them to say is that the election was fraudulent. That seems to be why some of the initial lawyers that Trump had on his team decided that they didn't want to represent the former president. It's because they weren't comfortable claiming on the Senate floor that the election was fraudulent. As much as Trump wants to direct his own defense, there is a limit to what his legal team is willing to kind of, make a case for.
Bloomberg's Anna Edgerton. Anna, thanks as always for your time. We really appreciate it.